Hi everyone, delonewolf here. Welcome back to the Sunday recap, my weekly vlog where I talk a little bit about my last week in games. As always, we'll start with EVE Online, and well, I played an average amount of EVE Online if you count my sisi time. So on TQ, I finished the Crimson Harvest, kept up with the PI business and the blueprint copies. Well, I haven't made that many of them because the sales there, while they're going decently well, it is still the same situation where the very best BPCs are those that you make very slowly, like the Orca and like the structures themselves, mostly the medium structures actually. Those seem to be far more popular than the large structures. I think that's normal. You'll be a much bigger target for a war deck if you put up a large structure, so you always have to be a little careful there. But on CC, of course, I did join the mass test. That was very interesting. The new gate effects and the new jump gate for 0-0 look really good. Very impressive. And CCP is now also constantly starting to roll out more stuff for the winter patch. For instance, we have the 2 Tech 1 Triglavian ships as well on CC, and it's pretty important that you try to test all of that out, that you try to be prepared. This way, for instance, we know there's new Triglavian or precursor skills coming out, so that is actually a pretty big deal, especially for people that are speculating on when will the skill injectors finally catch up to what Plex has been doing in the last few months. There, I think that could be an interesting thing to look at. And the ships themselves, I've flown the Destroyer a little bit, and it is absolutely amazing in my book. I absolutely love that Triglavian Destroyer so far. So yeah, EVE Online is not that much on TQ for me at the moment. Maybe I'll try to get back into a little bit more exploration, perhaps dive into some wormholes or something like that now that the Crimson Harvest is over. But it's mostly looking to the future, and that is on CC with stuff that CCP is deploying there. And of course, there's also the next event. I think it's somewhere in December that they're planning that, which should be quite unique with like an atmospheric flying part to it. So I'm really curious to see what they'll do there as well. But yeah, looks pretty good. While it's not an expansion that's coming this winter, it does look like it's going to be an interesting, very large patch, and with that also potentially a very interesting live event. Well, that's what they're calling, right? Live events in EVE Online, or those scripted events that come back about once a month. And so the next one ought to be very interesting. Next up, we have the World of Warcraft. That has also been a little bit less than average, since I don't spend time on test servers on the World of Warcraft, which might actually be interesting because, of course, Blizzard is now working hard on the 8.1 patch, and I do watch some videos here and there about what's coming. I think it's looking pretty good with an Azerite vendor, so that you can scrap your Azerite and potentially compress all of that into better gear. Will also, well, they're looking at what they'll do for PvP. I'm actually pretty happy with the state of the PvP reward track at the moment. Keeping up with the conquest points is not that hard. Generally, I come online, and if I'm in maintenance mode, I do my emissary, then I do random BGs until I get 1 win, and then I win the skirmish, and you're like just maybe 10 points shy of the 500 that you need for the week if you do that every single day. But that's very easily remedied when you have a little bit more time. You add an epic battleground, and there you go, you earn your conquest points. And yeah, RBGs, a bit more pressure, a bit more time spent in that would be needed. So I didn't have that much energy in the last couple of weeks because of my real life job, and as a result, that's basically what I've been doing in the World of Warcraft emissaries, and try to keep up with the conquest points, which, well, it rewards you for this week an item that'll be an upgrading item, so that one of your other PvP items becomes a 270, which is very nice. Of course, I'm gonna assume that you can also use that on weapons, which is often very difficult to get. So yeah, very interesting in my opinion, and I'm pretty happy with what Blizzard has done when it comes to the reward track so far for PvP. Of course, at some point you've gone through all of those items, and then they'll probably need to switch the system up a little bit. I'm hoping that they don't just put up an upgraded track that's like 10 points higher for the next season, but that they give us something that has more upgraded items, and then perhaps also a vendor or something like that. I don't understand why Blizzard doesn't put in more vendors for the gear, especially the PvP gear. I remember from old expansions that that's how it worked, and that was actually really good, because then you could plug your gaps and you weren't dependent on RNGs that much. At the moment, you're just keeping up with the conquest point track because you want to see what comes next, not because you're aiming for a specific piece or anything like that. I'm mostly missing rings myself, but I don't think that you get those at the moment from the PvP gear, so I'll still see how I can manage that. On the other hand, I do think that I have rings that actually have a lot of mastery, which is really good for my build at the moment. So I'm really happy with my Warlock. I'm having fun with him, and yeah, I'm just doing some maintenance World of Warcraft until 8.1 hits, and then we'll see what we'll do there. Which brings me to a third game that I bought last week, and it was during the Halloween sales on Steam. I was looking for something decently casual and strategy based. It's been a long time since I'd actually played another strategy game. I tried to get into some Banished again, but that is just not progressing the way I want to. And I settled on a Dungeons 3, which looked pretty interesting. It's like a dungeon building game where you play evil, and you have to try to conquer yet another world for the great evil, which is of course who you are. I find it very fun so far. I'm not looking for a massive experience or something that I'm going to keep playing eternally. This is just a little bit of like an extra snack, and so something like a nice Steam sale is always really good for that. So far, you know, it's a game from 2017, so it's not super old, but it's not that recent that is going to be riddled with bugs or anything like that. So from the technical aspect, it does work. No crashes, no problems whatsoever. I personally like this type of sim strategy combination that it has going on. So you've got your own dungeon where you can build up resources, armies, traps for the heroes that try to stop you and things like that. And then you've got an overworld where you can send your army and you have a more RTS type of gameplay. Yeah, very interesting combination, works really smoothly. The controls are decently intuitive and everything works fine. It's got some humor in it, don't expect a serious game or anything like that. And it borders on cringe a little bit with how much it borrows from the World of Warcraft IP, also Lord of the Rings, things like that are heavily worked into it, but it's all done with a humorous note. So far for me, it's definitely a nice little purchase for what I intended it to do, right? Just have some fun for maybe a couple of weeks, just play through the campaign and see if I can get like maybe 10 hours or something like that out of the game. And so far it is doing that, and it's actually pretty damn nice, as I said, as a little extra to do while I'm pretty busy at work and don't want to focus hardcore on either EVE or World of Warcraft at the moment. And that's it for the last week, guys. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you all next time.